You're sitting there at 1:17 a.m., phone glowing in the dark, electric bill just hit, boss texted about tomorrow's deadline. Your chest feels tight, like someone's slowly turning a screw. And instead of opening that retirement calculator you swore you'd finally use, you're refreshing your bank app for the third time. Or maybe you just hit add to cart on something that'll arrive in 2 days and loosen the knot for about 20 minutes. That right there, that's stress. Low-key rewriting your entire financial future. Not in some big dramatic crash, in quiet little decisions you'll pay for years from now. Let's be honest, we all think we're above it until we're not. Meet Alex, 38, software engineer outside Austin. 2 kids, solid 6-figure salary on paper, 401k that used to auto-contribute like clockwork. The kind of guy who used to map out net worth spreadsheets on Sunday nights just for fun. Then the layoffs started at his company. Not him, yet. But every all-hands meeting felt like Russian roulette. Sleep dropped from 7 hours to 4. Cortisol through the roof. One Thursday night, he sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, staring at his investment dashboard. Market was down 8%. His brain whispered, pull it before it gets worse. Deep down, he knew the data. Time in the market beats timing the market. But the stress, it was louder. So he sold, locked in the loss, told himself it was protecting the family. Here's the thing. That single move cost him more than $27,000 in future compound growth. Not because he was stupid, because his prefrontal cortex, the part that does long-term math, weighs consequences, stays patient, had basically gone offline. Now, listen carefully. This is where it gets really interesting. Chronic stress floods your system with cortisol. That hormone literally shrinks and weakens the prefrontal cortex while it amps up the amygdala, your ancient alarm system. Suddenly, every financial choice becomes survival math instead of strategy math. A 2025 study out of NYU Shanghai tracked everyday people and their cortisol levels. Higher baseline cortisol explained about 10% of why they heavily discounted the future, grabbing smaller rewards now instead of bigger ones later. 10% might not sound huge until you realize that's the difference between maxing your Roth IRA every year or raiding it when life feels heavy.
Behavioral economists call this present bias. Stress multiplies it. Tomorrow starts to feel unreal, abstract, someone else's problem. And this is the trap. Alex didn't know the science at the time. He just felt constant low-grade panic. So the behavior stacked up quietly. Skipped the extra $500 monthly into the kids' $529 because we might need it for emergencies. Bought the $1,200 gaming laptop on 0% financing because the kids need something positive right now. Ignored rebalancing his portfolio during the next dip because opening the app made his stomach drop. Each choice felt totally rational in the moment. That's how stress destroys long-term thinking. It doesn't make you irrational. It makes the short term feel like the only term that exists. You've felt this, haven't you? After a brutal week, telling yourself, I deserve this dinner out while the credit card creeps higher? Or during tax season, when the anxiety hits and automating that HSA contribution suddenly feels too overwhelming, so you just don't. But here's where it gets even heavier. The bad financial moves create more stress, which makes better decisions even harder. It's a slow, grinding loop. Stress from money leads to short-term choices, which create more money stress. Most people stay trapped in it for years without ever seeing the mechanism. Alex hit his lowest point 6 months in, standing in Target, kids begging for new shoes, heart racing because the checking account was thinner than it should be. He almost put them on the card. Then his 9-year-old looked up and asked, Dad, are we going to be okay? Something cracked. Not some big movie moment, just a quiet, heavy realization. The stress wasn't just from the job anymore. It was feeding on every reactive money move he'd made. The more short-term relief he chose, the more long-term options disappeared. And the more options disappeared, the more stressed he felt. A perfect vicious loop. But what happened next changed everything. He started tiny. Not some 30-day money makeover nonsense. just 5 slow breaths before he opened any financial app. Then he automated everything he possibly could. Transfers, investments, bill pays, so future stressed Alex couldn't touch it. He scheduled one 20-minute future review every Sunday morning when his cortisol was naturally lower. Nothing heroic, just protecting his thinking brain from his stressed brain. 6 months later, the layoffs finally hit him too. But this time he was ready. Emergency fund intact, portfolio untouched, mind clear enough to negotiate decent severance and land a better role in 3 weeks.
The difference wasn't luck. It was that he'd slowly clawed back control of the part of his brain that actually plans decades ahead. Real talk, most of us are 1 or 2 chronic stressors away from the same cycle. A parent's illness, a surprise medical bill, a relationship ending, even just the background hum of inflation and what if I lose my job scrolling. The crazy part, the same stress that destroys long-term financial thinking also makes it harder to see that it's happening. You just feel tired, overwhelmed, like money is always slipping through your fingers no matter how hard you grind. But here's what the research keeps showing and what Alex now lives every single day. When you protect your prefrontal cortex, even in small ways, the long game becomes visible again. You stop treating every dollar like it might be your last and start treating it like a tool that can work for decades. So I'll leave you with this question, and I want you to really sit with it tonight before you close the app. If the stress you're carrying right now is quietly stealing the version of your life that future you is supposed to live, what's one tiny boundary you could put in place this week to protect your thinking brain from your stressed brain? Because once you see the mechanism, you can't unsee it. And that, more than any budget or side hustle, might be the real turning point. Thanks for watching Psych Uncovered. If this hit home, drop a comment with the one stressor that's been messing with your money decisions lately. We read every single one. I'll see you in the next one, where we uncover something even deeper.